Hello, knowledge seekers. In this episode of 20-Minute Books, we're exploring The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. Published in 2019, this insightful book serves as a blueprint for business leaders aiming to build enduring organizations. Sinek highlights the common traps of short-term thinking and offers strategies for fostering long-term success, resilience, and increased revenue. Simon Sinek, a renowned author and inspirational speaker, has significantly influenced modern leadership. He has worked with a range from Fortune 100 companies to nonprofits, as well as politicians and the U.S. military. His TED Talk, Start With Why, ranks as the third most watched of all time. Sinek's other notable works include Leaders Eat Last and Together is Better. The Infinite Game is essential reading for entrepreneurs, CEOs, managers, supervisors, and anyone interested in leadership principles. It's also perfect for those curious about the key factors that contribute to the longevity of a business. Join us as we summarize the core concepts of this transformative book and how they can be applied to cultivate a thriving, sustainable business. The Infinite Game: How Great Businesses Achieve Long-Lasting Success. Introduction: Playing the Infinite Game. How to sustain your business success forever. When you tune into financial news, there's a strong focus on stock prices, and analysts regularly dish out advice on the best times to buy or sell stocks. It's clear that these discussions are often more about maximizing shareholder profits rather than assessing the overall health of a company. Yet, the real strength of any company isn't solely reflected in its daily stock price. If a CEO concentrates only on pleasing shareholders and boosting share prices, they are likely neglecting broader, more critical aspects of their company's future. Effective leaders are visionary, looking beyond immediate gains. They prioritize innovation and strive to produce products that resonate with consumers' wants and needs, rather than merely pushing products they can easily sell. This narrative shifts focus from short-term achievements to long-term sustainability in business, underscoring the significance of adopting an infinite mindset. This approach encourages businesses not just to survive but thrive over extended periods, through fluctuating market conditions and beyond immediate financial gains. In this exploration, you'll understand the 5 core practices that foster an infinite mindset. You'll discover how deviations from core principles may have unforeseen negative impacts, as illustrated by the tech giant Microsoft. Additionally, learn from insights on how traditional capitalist models, influenced by certain economic theories and Nobel laureates, might actually undermine long-term business sustainability. These are strategies not just for survival, but for a kind of success that is enduring, an infinite game where the goal is continual progress, not just a fortunate position on the leaderboard. Part 1. Why treating business like an infinite game could be your key to long-term success. In sports, the rules are clear-cut. Players agree on the game's start and end, the scoring method, and understand that the winner is determined by who has the most points when the game concludes. This represents a finite game, a game with set parameters and a definitive endpoint. However, contrary to common belief, business does not operate like a finite game. There are no universally agreed start or stop times in business, and while there are legal standards all companies must follow, how they navigate within these rules varies widely. Business is, by nature, an infinite game. There's no ultimate end, no universally accepted scoring system, and no final win. The primary goal in an infinite business game is not to win, but to continue playing, to endure and evolve over time. This perspective shifts the focus from short-term metrics like profit and revenue, which, while important, do not singularly determine a company's health or long-term viability. High profits today might be meaningless if a company isn't poised to handle future challenges. Businesses, therefore, should adopt an infinite mindset, aiming to build enterprises that last generations, rather than looking to win in a conventional sense. Focusing too narrowly on short-term goals, such as quarterly earnings, often results in a tunnel vision that sidelines crucial aspects like innovation and quality, which are essential for sustained success. Businesses should strive to create outstanding products and services that people truly need, rather than merely trying to dominate market share or maximize shareholder returns in the short term. Take Microsoft as a case study. Under Bill Gates, Microsoft's mission was to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more, an epitome of the infinite mindset. Yet, in the early 2000s, under Steve Ballmer's more finite-minded leadership, the company shifted its focus. It aggressively aimed to outdo Apple and win more market share, a move that arguably harmed its reputation more than it helped. Microsoft's venture into devices like the Zune, intended to compete with Apple's iPod, exemplified a finite mindset that prioritized beating competitors over genuine innovation. Adopting an infinite mindset means looking beyond the conventional metrics of success and focusing on a broader, more resilient vision. It means building a business that aspires not just to success today, but to relevance and innovation tomorrow and well into the future. Part 2. Unlocking the secrets to thriving in business with these 5 infinite game strategies. Imagine a long-standing, robust company like Victorinox, famed for their Swiss Army knives, navigating through the drastic market shift post 9/11 when their main product was banned from airline carry-on luggage. Despite such an enormous setback, rather than spiral into decline, Victorinox chose to adapt and innovate, expanding into new markets like fragrances, travel gear, and watches. This shift not only diversified their portfolio, but reduced their reliance on Swiss Army knives from 95 to 35% of their total revenue. Victorinox's ability to think in generations rather than fiscal quarters exemplifies the essence of playing the infinite game in business. In the infinite game, as articulated by the author, there are 5 core practices crucial for sustaining long-term success. 1. Advance a just cause. 2. Build trusting teams. 3. Study your worthy rivals. 4. Prepare for existential flexibility. 5. Demonstrate the courage to lead. The first and perhaps the most vital is advancing a just cause, which should be an inspiring vision that pushes the business toward a future that seems better than today. This vision must be appealing and motivating to those involved, providing a clear sense of direction and purpose. It should be inclusive, allowing for broad participation and support across the enterprise, and extraordinarily bold and idealistic, aiming for something that resonates deeply rather than mere metrics of success. Take, for instance, Bill Gates' vision for Microsoft, which was not just to build a successful tech company, but to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. This kind of inspirational cause not only propels an organization forward, but also helps it to withstand pressures and changes over time. Contrastingly, companies that set their sights merely on being the biggest or the best might find themselves lost, much like the GPS company Garmin. Their mission statement, focused inwardly on market leadership and product value, showcases a finite mindset, one that eventually saw the company's decline as the world of navigation shifted toward smartphone apps. This illustrates the pitfalls of not having a just cause that's outward-looking and aligned with broader societal needs. In essence, thriving in the infinite game of business requires more than just a desire to succeed today. It requires an enduring commitment to a cause greater than mere profitability. This journey begins with a just cause, paving the path for practices that ensure long-term relevance and resilience, fostering an environment where the business continues to play indefinitely in the ever-evolving market landscape. Part 3. Rediscovering capitalism's roots for a healthier economic future. Who should come first in business, the customers or the shareholders? This question is central to the divergent paths capitalism has taken over the centuries. Understanding the shift in focus from consumer to shareholder is crucial when crafting your just cause in business. Initially, capitalism as envisioned by Adam Smith in his revolutionary 18th century work, The Wealth of Nations, prioritized consumer interests. Smith argued firmly that businesses should first serve their customers, as a satisfied customer base ensures the longevity and success of any enterprise. This concept was the bedrock of capitalism for almost 2 centuries, emphasizing quality and service in the pursuit of business. However, the narrative took a sharp turn with Milton Friedman in the 1970s. The Nobel Prize winning economist posited a new doctrine in his influential 1970 essay, arguing that a business's foremost duty was to its shareholders, essentially flipping Adam Smith's ideology on its head. Friedman's perspective was that the primary goal of business should be profit maximization for its owners. This shift significantly shaped business practices in the following decades, particularly in the 1980s and 1990s. Companies increasingly focused on short-term financial gains that pleased shareholders, often at the cost of long-term stability and quality enhancement. This was a period when corporate strategies heavily leaned towards increasing stock values and returns on investments, even if it meant drastic measures like severe cost-cutting, layoffs, or minimizing budgets for research and development. As a result, business became synonymous with Wall Street performance rather than the quality of products or services, as judged by the actual marketplace. The drive to maximize shareholder value often led companies to make decisions that, while profitable in the short term, were potentially damaging in the long term. Today's economic landscape shows the effects of this imbalance. Public participation in stock markets is declining, and while CEO pay has skyrocketed, increasing by 950% since 1978, average worker wages have stagnated, rising by only about 11% in the same period. This growing disparity not only fosters economic inequality, but also builds towards market instabilities that can lead to widespread financial crises. This perspective invites a critical reassessment of our current capitalist practice. Perhaps returning to Adam Smith's original vision, where businesses thrive by primarily addressing the needs of their customers, might be key to restoring a more balanced and sustainable economic system. This approach not only aligns with an infinite mindset, but also ensures the longevity and health of businesses, and by extension, the broader economy. Part 4. Leadership that values employees over earnings yields long-term success. In today's corporate world, Milton Friedman's shareholder-centric view of capitalism has become so ingrained that challenging it might seem almost reckless. However, if we measure success by longevity, the hallmark of success in the infinite game of business, the focus must shift from short-term earnings to a more human-centered approach, prioritizing the will and welfare of the employees who drive the company forward. The essence of a compelling, forward-thinking just cause is not just to set a vision for the future, but to genuinely engage people with this vision. This engagement must be authentic, as people are inherently adept at detecting insincerity. Thus, it is crucial to not only respect your customers, but also to show genuine appreciation and respect for your employees, who are integral to sustaining the vision. Interestingly, prioritizing employee well-being over immediate financial metrics can be an economically sound decision. Treating employees with respect and dignity doesn't just foster goodwill. It translates into tangible benefits like higher motivation, loyalty, and productivity, which can indirectly boost revenue. The metrics for financial performance, such as profit, revenue, and stock price, are straightforward to quantify. However, gauging the will of the people involves assessing more qualitative aspects like employee morale, inspiration, and commitment to the company's just cause, all of which hinge crucially on the quality of leadership. Consider Apple and the Container Store as illustrative examples. Apple once made a strategic decision to treat its retail employees on par with its corporate staff, providing equal health benefits and retirement plans. This leadership move significantly boosted employee retention rates to approximately 90%, starkly higher than the retail industry's average of 20 to 30%. The direct consequence was a decrease in recruitment and training costs, coupled with the indirect benefits of having a motivated workforce that enhances customer service quality. The Container Store faced its challenge during the 2008 financial crisis. Instead of laying off staff to cut costs, the company's leaders chose to halt salary increments and freeze 401k matches temporarily. This decision was a gamble on the loyalty and understanding of their employees. The response from the staff was overwhelmingly positive. Not only did they accept these changes, but they also actively sought additional ways to reduce costs, such as covering their own travel expenses. These examples underscore a crucial lesson. When leaders place genuine value on their employees' contributions and welfare, it not only cultivates a positive workplace culture, but also sets the foundation for sustainable business practices that can weather financial downturns and market volatility. Respecting and investing in the human element of business is not just ethical, it's smart strategy for long-term success. Part 5. Building trust within an organization enhances both ethical standards and operational success. Focusing solely on financial gains can create a shallow just cause and foster a culture where distrust and unethical behavior may take root, ultimately jeopardizing the longevity of a business. When employees are trapped in an environment where trust is scarce, they are less likely to speak up about issues or uncertainties, paving the way for mistakes and poor performance. This was starkly evident in the state of affairs at Ford Motor Company before 2006, under a leadership that penalized transparency. Employees learned to only share positive updates, fearing retribution for any bad news. This changed with the arrival of the new CEO, Alan Mulally, who recognized the destructive nature of this fearful environment. Mulally introduced weekly business plan meetings that encouraged open communication, including the sharing of setbacks. His approach celebrated honesty, helping to shift the corporate culture from one of secrecy to one of transparency and trust. Trust isn't built overnight or by grand gestures alone. It starts with consistent small actions. For Shell Oil, it began simply with bringing employees together, not to discuss work, but to share personal stories and experiences. This initiative, unusual for its setting on masculine-dominated oil rigs, proved effective. These trust meetings not only broke down barriers among workers, but also led to a dramatic 84% reduction in accidents, illustrating the profound impact of cultivating a supportive and open workplace. However, a disregard for creating a trust-based culture can lead to significant ethical breaches, as demonstrated by the scandal at Wells Fargo. Between 2011 and 2016, the pressure to meet intense sales targets led employees to create millions of fake bank accounts. Investigations revealed that CEO John Stumpf was aware of these unethical practices since 2002, but did nothing to rectify the high-pressure environment he helped foster. This lack of ethical leadership and the absence of a trusting, open culture drove employees to engage in fraudulent activities, ultimately harming the company's reputation and trustworthiness. The lesson here is clear. Businesses must prioritize creating a culture of trust as a cornerstone of their operational philosophy. Aligning company behavior and values with the well-being of employees not only fosters ethical conduct, but also improves overall business performance. Sustainable success in business relies heavily on the strength of its relationships, both within the organization and with its wider community of stakeholders. Part 6. Embrace the challenge of worthy rivals and boldly innovate when change is necessary. Many sports enthusiasts recognize the value of a worthy rival, the kind of opponent who compels you to improve, evolve, and elevate your game. This concept, while prevalent in sports, is equally crucial in the business realm for those with an infinite mindset. Consider the example of Alan Mulally, who assumed leadership at Ford Motor Company in 2006, during a time when Ford had experienced a significant 25% loss in market share over 15 years. The recovery strategy at the time centered around increasing sales promotions and cutting costs, typical finite-minded tactics. However, Mulally had a different vision. He encouraged his senior management not just to focus on Ford's products, but to actively use and evaluate cars made by competitors like Toyota and Lexus. This was not about outperforming these companies in sales, but understanding why consumers preferred their vehicles over Ford's. Mulali's approach wasn't about defeating these rivals, but learning from them, an attitude that proved beneficial, especially during the 2008 recession. While Ford did not require government bailout funds, unlike its competitors, GM and Chrysler, Mulally supported federal efforts to aid these companies, understanding that their downfall would also negatively impact the broader network of vendors and suppliers essential to Ford's operation. Beyond just learning from competitors, sometimes embracing the concept of a worthy rival involves implementing what is known as an existential flex, a major strategic pivot or self-disruption. This can often be a formidable challenge, especially for businesses entrenched in finite strategies. A historical instance of an existential flex is seen in Apple's decision in 1979 when Steve Jobs was introduced to the graphical user interface GUI technology developed by Xerox. Recognizing its revolutionary potential, Jobs decisively shifted Apple's focus to incorporate GUI, which featured user-friendly interfaces like point-and-click mouse controls, desktop icons, and folders. Despite concerns that this radical change could destabilize the company, Jobs was driven by Apple's just cause to make computers accessible and empowering tools for the masses. This bold move led to the launch of the first Macintosh in 1984, a significant technological leap that predated Microsoft's similar Windows 2.0 interface by several years. Jobs' decision to embrace and implement GUI technology not only reshaped Apple's trajectory, but also set new industry standards. In the infinite game of business, recognizing worthy rivals and having the courage to undertake existential flexes when necessary are crucial strategies for sustained relevance and success. These practices encourage continuous learning, adaptation, and ultimately, innovation that can define industry standards and create lasting impact. Part 7. The transformative power of courageous leadership in sustaining the infinite game. Adopting an infinite mindset necessitates overarching goals that transcend individual ambitions and financial outcomes. It calls for advancing a just cause. This pivotal component, however, demands more than just articulation. It requires the courage to lead. This is the final practice among the 5 essential strategies outlined for playing the infinite game, and perhaps one of the most challenging to embody. The challenge begins with the typical trajectory of those who ascend to CEO positions, often transitioning from roles like Chief Operating Officer, COO, or Chief Financial Officer, CFO. These roles, inherently focused on finite metrics such as daily operations or financial balance sheets, don't necessarily cultivate the visionary mindset needed for enduring leadership. In contrast, a CEO's ultimate role, akin to that of a chief visionary officer, is to champion and protect the just cause, steering the organization according to an infinite long-term vision. Indeed, demonstrating the courage to lead is about embodying the commitment to your company's just cause, thereby inspiring the entire organization to follow suit. This pivotal role ensures that decision-making processes align not just with immediate goals, but with a long-lasting vision. A compelling example of the courage to lead in action comes from CVS Caremark's bold decision in February 2014 to discontinue the sale of cigarettes. This decision was forecasted to cost the company roughly $2 billion in revenue. However, aligned with its just cause of fostering healthier communities, the decision underscored CVS's commitment to health and wellness over short-term financial gains. Initially, this decision led to a slight dip in the company's stock price. However, this sacrifice for adherence to a just cause paid dividends in the long-term viability and reputation of the company. Not only did the stock price rebound to a record high a year and a half later, but CVS also experienced a substantial 70% increase in earnings per share over the next 3 years. Furthermore, sales of nicotine gum and patches increased, and CVS attracted partnerships with health-conscious vendors who previously shunned the association with a tobacco-selling company. This example encapsulates the profound impact of the courage to lead. It demonstrates how steadfast commitment to a just cause can not only redefine an organization's trajectory, but also foster lasting success and credibility in the marketplace. By closing the loop of the infinite game, from establishing a just cause and building trusting teams, to engaging with worthy rivals, embracing existential flexibility, and finally, demonstrating courageous leadership, a company can secure its longevity and relevance in an ever evolving business landscape. Final summary: business is not about reaching a final victory, but rather about continuing to play the infinite game. Unlike traditional games, there is no set time limit or universally recognized scoring system that determines the definitive winner in business. The overarching objective is to remain in the game as long as possible. Achieving this requires a shift toward an infinite mindset, guided by 5 critical practices. 1. Champion a compelling just cause. Your business must be driven by a purposeful cause that inspires and rallies people, not just within the organization, but also your broader community. 2. Cultivate a culture of trust. Building trust among employees is essential, as it not only fosters a positive work environment, but also enhances overall company performance and ethical standards. 3. Learn from worthy rivals. Instead of viewing competitors solely as threats, see them as opportunities to learn and better oneself. This perspective drives innovation and continuous improvement. 4. Prepare for existential flexibility. Sometimes, success requires making bold, transformative decisions that may disrupt the current state of affairs in favor of long-term survivability and relevance. 5. Demonstrate the courage to lead. Leading with courage means making decisions that steadfastly adhere to your just cause, even when they may not yield immediate benefits. By adopting these practices, businesses can navigate the uncertainties of the marketplace with a vision that transcends short-term gains, aiming instead for enduring impact and sustainability. This infinite-minded approach ensures that a company does not just survive the challenges of today, but thrives well into the future. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of learning and discovery as we explored the insights of another thought-provoking book in our growing library of knowledge. If you've enjoyed our time together, please take a moment to follow our podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and share 20-minute books with other knowledge seekers. Your support truly means a lot. Don't forget to join me again in the next episode, where we will delve into another enriching book. Until then, happy reading and happy listening.